Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! First of all, I just wanted to give a very big thank you to those who are part of this community. I just recently hit 900 subscribers and I'm very excited about that, and I'm just absolutely tickled to death that you have chosen to be part of this community here on the page. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you, and just thank you so much. So today's card is two cards in one actually, and I'm calling this the Easy Peasy double-sided DSP technique. It's the simplest thing in the world. I kind of can't believe I didn't think of this myself. The idea came from Stampin' Peace with Mary. She's a fellow demonstrator, and I saw her share a couple of samples, and I thought, oh my gosh, how did I not think of this? Because all we're doing here is taking a beautiful piece of DSP and flipping part of it up, and we can very easily put two cards together in a minimal amount of time. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So these are the cards we're going to make tonight, but I'm going to make them in a slightly different color. So to start with, I have some gorgeous grape card bases. Here I used Pretty Peacock. It's a beautiful color, but I just decided to go with some purples for these other cards. And then I have Lost Lagoon to put my paper on as a backing, and then two pieces of our Painted Lavender Designer Series paper. The pieces we are going to use are 5 1/4 by 4. It's what I call my standard insert or standard panel for the front of my card. So I'm going to do the folding on both of these, and then we'll go ahead and put them together. So you will need a scoring tool of some kind. I love our paper trimmer, and I'm going to show you a little trick here. So first of all, for one of the panels, as I said, 5 1/4 by 4. Mine are 4 inches across and 5 1/4 tall. I'm just going to line it up, and I like to use the measure markings on the right side of the cutting blade, and we're just going to score it. Not cut, just score. Be very gentle with your Designer Series paper. I am the worst at this. I will usually always put a hole in the first piece I try to score. So it's probably a little hard to see, but there's just a score line 1 inch from the bottom. The other paper is a little trickier, and really there's no rhyme or reason to how you do this, but I discovered something I thought worked well for this technique. So at the bottom of my trimmer, this is the cutting alley here where my blade goes through, and there's some raised edges on either side. I'm going to line up the bottom left corner with the small ridge right to it's just to the left of the cutting track. So I'm going to put the point on that, and then I'm going to maneuver the bottom right corner just over to the edge. If I wanted a bigger fold, I could kind of slide it out a little bit, but I didn't want to go too far because then I'd be covering up a lot of my Designer Series paper. So now again, score blade very gently, back and forth a couple of times, and then that's done. And so I can fold on my score line. I'm actually going to fold the wrong way the first time. It just seems to want to cooperate a little easier that way, just like that. And then that first piece, I'm just going to fold up. Easy peasy. So next what I'm going to do is I have these two panels that are 5 1/4 by 4 of Lost Lagoon, and I'm simply going to attach these to the paper. So I'm kind of working on both cards at once here. A little bit of adhesive on that bottom fold, fold it up like that, and then adhesive on the back of the Designer Series paper. Match my corners. Sometimes this is the trickiest part. Smooth that down. That'll be ready to go on a card base in just a minute. And then same thing with our second panel. Little adhesive on the flap. You can use your favorite kind of adhesive, doesn't have to be anything special. Same thing. For this one, I usually try to line up the bottom corner and then go right up the side, and then smooth it down. On occasion, with some of my cards, I did have to trim off a little bit here. This one, I might do that. I'm a nitpicker. So if you have any excess, you can just trim that off. A little bit just like that. All right, now these get put right on the card base. As I said, this is Gorgeous Grape. And I went for the long, skinny card base format, but there's really no right or wrong way to do that. Actually, before I put these on, I'm gonna stamp on them. Usually, I like to do my stamping first, just in case, but I'm gonna have faith that I can do this without making a mistake. So I'm gonna use, for one of the cards, our new Everyday Greetings stamp set. This is great because it covers so many different occasions. And you can check everything out on my website. We do have a new holiday catalog that is going to be coming out in the beginning of September. It's going to have all things holiday, things for fall, and of course things for the winter holidays as well. Okay, so there was one, and then the other stamp I'm using is from our Layering Leaves set, which happens to be a favorite of mine. And thankfully, I didn't mess up. This technique is so easy. I actually put together 8 card bases in less than an hour last night. So it really does come together well, and that included picking out my paper and the colors and figuring out what stamp sets I wanted to use for my wording. So this is a great way to make cards in a hurry and would be great for any occasion. And you can get 6 of the 5 1/4 by 4 panels out of one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. And then you'll have a little bit left over. And what I am planning to do when I'm ready to put the insides in these cards is to take 1/2-inch strips of that designer series paper and add it to the top of my inside piece, and then stamp my sentiment below it, and I'll have the inside ready to go as well. Okay, so to finish these up, I'm just gonna add a little bling. I have our iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. And here is my Take Your Pick tool. I love this tool. It's multifunctional, has a putty tip, and several different scoring or piercing tips as well. And so let's see here. I'm just going to use several different sizes of the iridescent gems. So there's one card all done. And then let me see here for the second one. I think I might just use one, just like that. So you can go as fancy or as simple as you like. So here, I'll show you some side-by-sides with the different colors. And you can obviously embellish these if you want to add a punch shape or a die cut shape or do something else as a focal point. Absolutely go for it. The point of this is to be a simple technique and be able to do cards quickly, but I always use everything as a springboard to see how my creativity flows. So there's those 2 cards. Then here are the other ones. Oh, that one I did in the center, that one I did off to the side. I just realized that. And then to show you some more samples, this is the same idea. Everything here is the same idea, but I added a strip of cardstock as well just for a little accent. And what I did here to do that is I put my glue here at the top so my paper was anchored, and then I placed the cardstock strip, and then I glued the rest of it down, and that way I knew it was where I wanted it to be. But it didn't cover too much of my paper and has a low profile. Love this DSP. You can find all the DSP in our catalog or online. And if you don't have a demonstrator that you're working with, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me over on The Faithful Stamper or comment here, and I'll be happy to send you a catalog. We have our annual catalog out now, and then that holiday mini is coming next month. Here, obviously, you can do this with Manly paper. I used our Adventurous Sky set with our airplanes. Typically, I've been going with the papers with the blues, but this is a showcase of the greens. This is Mossy Meadow. And some of our trinkets that match. I think they're industrial trinkets. They look really neat. And then last but not least, here's a peek at one of the designer series papers and coordinating stamp sets that will be in that new holiday mini next month. This is our Wintry Nests, and I love this designer series paper. I'm a big fan of birds, so this is perfect. And you might notice I actually flipped the the layout of the card around because I didn't want to cover up my birds. This is going to sound silly, but I would have had more bird butts on the top of the paper if I didn't fold it down. So I wanted to make use of all the pretty birds. So I did my fold down from the top. And this one took me a minute to think about it, but I was able to do that from there as well. So you obviously can mix and match and do your folds in different ways. You could even go long ways and change the orientation of the card if you wanted. Lots of options for you. So there is our easy peasy double-sided DSP technique. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make that card, and I hope that you will find this useful in your crafting. Again, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your support on this page. And I'd love to see you over on my Facebook page as well at The Faithful Stamper. I talked a lot more there about workshops that I hold and specials that Stampin' Up! Offer and other incentives like that. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.